and welcome to this tutorial again. These are questions from the RPDP tips site. Guys, you should be using that site to help you get proficient or to clarify anything that I say here because you know what? I'm not perfect. If you haven't figured that out, you haven't been in my classroom lately. Okay, students know organisms can be classified based on evolutionary relationships. That's what this is all about. The science of naming and classifying organisms is, well, it's not morphology, I can tell you that much. Okay, because morphology is how it looks. Taxidermy is when they stuff the animal, so it means it was either between taxonomy and phylogeny. And I hope that you were starting to think that, when have I heard about phylogeny? Phylogeny is something kind of like I hear about the history of an organism, so that's not it. So it's taxonomy. Taxonomy is your correct answer. Again, the science of naming and classifying organisms is taxonomy. The evolutionary history of an organism is known as, well, we know it's not taxonomy because this is names. We know it's not philosophy because that's like theorizing or how you feel. It's touchy-feely. Morphology, again, how it looks. So phylogeny. The evolutionary history of an organism is known as its phylogeny. A horse and donkey may interbreed with each other and produce offspring, but the offspring are sterile. This occurs because the horse and donkey belong to a different A, species, B, genus, C, class, D, kingdom. I can tell you that if they belong to a different class in our kingdom, they're not getting together, okay? And they do belong to the same genus, I think, but don't quote me on that. But the main reason their babies can't have babies is because they don't belong to the same species. So, horse and donkey may interbreed with each other and produce offspring, but the offspring are sterile. This occurs because the horse and donkey belong to a different species. Based on their scientific names, the cats Felis concolor and Felis catus belong to the same, well, it's not species. The correct answer is genus. Class would be further up, and it's not kingdom. Okay? So, based on their scientific names, the cats Felis concolor and Felis catus belong to the same genus. And then we know that because they have the same genus name. What characteristic do all organisms have in common? They contain nucleus and membrane-bound organelles. That's actually not true. We're not genetically identical. And they are not always composed of many cells because they're single-celled organisms. The correct answer is they use DNA to pass on genetic information. What characteristics do all organisms have in common? They use DNA to pass on genetic information. Which of the following will most likely provide the best data for determining the phylogeny? Remember, phylogeny is the evolutionary history of three very closely related species, comparing their anatomical structures, investigating their scientific names, examining their fossil record, or D, analyzing their DNA. Okay, correct answer is, whenever you want to know who's the daddy, you analyze their DNA, guys. Which of the following would most likely provide the best data for determining the phylogeny, the evolutionary history of three very closely related species? The correct answer, analyzing their DNA. A scientist discovered a new organism and noted the following characteristics. It is multicellular, heterotrophic. Its cells contain a cell wall. Into which kingdom is the best place to classify this organism? Well, because it said cell wall, you're taking off Protista, you're taking off Animalia. Multicellular, they're both multicellular, heterotrophic right here. That's what makes it plant. Okay, guys? So, a scientist discovered a new organism. Notice the following characteristics. It is multicellular, heterotrophic, and its cells contain a cell wall. Into which kingdom is the best place to classify this organism? Correct answer is Plantae. So, the following shows the taxons of 4 different animal species. Based on the information table, which of these organisms are 2 species closely related? So what you do is you start looking. Okay, they're all in the same kingdom. They're all in the same phylum, so keep going. They're all mammalias. They're all mammalias. All mammals. Oops, this one's different. It's Anterdilactus, so it cannot have species 3 in it because it's not closely related. The order's different. Okay, so we keep going down. And here we go. We have Felidae, we have Orchidae, and we have Felidae. That means species 2 is out. And why? Because it's different. So the correct answer is species 1 and species 4. B. And all I did was use a chart and look for commonalities and differences. Okay? The table below shows the taxons of 4 different species. according to the table, which two species are closely related. And again, right there, see how that one's different? That's why that takes out species 2. This one was different way back here. That takes out species 3, which leaves species 1 and 4. Okay, use the diagram below to answer the following questions. At which point did the most recent common ancestor between the monkeys and the hominoids exist? So we're looking for monkeys, and here's monkeys, and humans are all the way up here. So where do they finally meet up again? Oh, right here. So right about here, actually right here. Here, sorry, I'm having pencil issues today. There we go. Right there. At 35 million years ago is when we had our last common ancestor. Boom. That's the answer. At what point did the most recent common ancestor between the monkeys and the hominoids exist? That's 35 million years ago. And where do I find that information? I look at the chart and I look for the last connected branch. And that's right here. Or where the branches actually come together, and that shows you the common ancestor. Okay, use the diagram below to answer the following question. According to the diagram, which two organisms are most closely related? Well, this diagram, I love these diagrams. It's one of these that once you learn how to read it, the question becomes easy. This is like a tree. So here's a common ancestor, and over here would be like great uncle over here. So then they marry, so many branches off. So the people who are on the same like tree limb are more closely related. So there's the salamanders and chelidans, and then the reptiles and the birds. So let's see, of those two pairs, which one's in my answer? Frogs and salamanders, notice they're not on the same tree branch, so they're not closely related. Reptiles and birds, that's an answer. There we go. And the reason it's not birds and mammals, again, look. Guys, look how that is. That's not closely related. These two being on the same, let's say, limb, and maybe just different leaves of that limb, are more closely related. Okay, again, according to the diagram, which two animals are most closely related? Again, reptiles and birds is the correct one for this one because that was one of our answer choices. Okay, according to the diagram, which two species of hominidae are closely related? So what we have to do is find the hominidae on the chart. Here it is. And we want to know which ones are closely related. So which ones are on the same branch? And here they are. It's the chimpanzees and bonobos. Bonobos? Okay, and there we go. There's our correct answer, guys. So chimpanzees and bonobos are more closely related. And how do I know? By reading the phylogenetic tree. So again, according to the diagram, which two species of the hominoids are most closely related? And notice it said hominoids, so they were also going to see if you knew to look that way too. And right here, because they're on the same tree. Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Remember, use the RPDP Tips site to help you get strong, help you get proficient, and graduate. Oh, and heck, if you're using this for good test taking skills, hey, good job. You're way ahead of the game.